Hey, this is Matt from InvestiQuant. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, 2020. And I got a request to do a follow-up to this morning's video, which showed that there's historically been a nice bias to the upside on the day before FOMC announcement day. Now, we're certainly not seeing that here today. We've seen a large gap up that sold off and filled the gap. It looks like pretty much everywhere. I'm not sure if Russell quite got it to the tick, but it got to that general area, and have since kind of gone sideways here since the early morning sell-off. And I got a request to follow this study up from this morning to see what has happened historically when you don't get the bias that you're expecting. So I'm going to run that real quick. In fact, I'm going to run it two different ways. And the way we're going to set it up is just the same setup that we looked at this morning, which was the day before FOMC announcement day. So we've got that here. The indicator we used was above a 10-day moving average, and that was the only one that we used to try to keep as many samples as possible. And with the study I'm going to be running here this afternoon, we're going to be looking at an intraday time-based entry that enters the market at 3 p.m. Eastern Time as a long trade and exits at the close when gapping up in the morning. So I'm going to run this here just kind of baseline so you can see all of them at an entry of 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And here are the results. So this pattern doesn't really have a strong bias for 3 p.m. to 4:15 going into the closing part of the day here. You just see a 56% win rate on the ES. We're a 47, the NASDAQ's a little bit weaker, YM just a little bit better than 50-50, and Russell a little bit stronger. And you've got, what, roughly 40 samples on each of these. Now what I want to do is look at what happens when you've seen weaker price action. So if I come in here to post open filters, I can add some price action around what has happened between the open of trading and the entry time, which is 3 p.m. And the only thing I'm going to put here is just if we're trading below the open, what has happened. So that'll keep it a little bit simpler to try to keep as many samples as possible because we only have about 40 to begin with. And here are the results. So this is, again, the same setup where it's the day before FOMC announcement. It was a gap up in the morning, and you were above the 10-day moving average on the close the day before. Entering at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, exiting at the close of regular trading hours, 4:15. This is when you're trading below the open at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So the one thing that really stands out to me for this is the fact that the sample sizes went from 40 to about 12. You see ES 12 samples, NASDAQ 13, YM 11. Russell has more. Russell looks like it's probably more split, 50-50 between samples. But the rest of these are pretty low sample sizes. So historically, you know, the bias has been to be trading above the open at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're seeing kind of the outliers here where it doesn't happen that often. So based on these samples, you know, it's got a little bit of a bias to the upside, but this is pretty small sample sizes here, so it's not really enough for me to be excited about. You know, 12 samples in the ES, 13 in the NASDAQ, 11 in the YM. There's an okay sample size if you combine them all together, and a slight lean to the long side if you do that, but still just kind of a rare pattern that has maybe tilted a little bit more to the bull side historically. So hope you found that interesting. Good luck the rest of the day, and we will see you tomorrow.